Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is June 15, 2023, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, NVIDIA just a couple of weeks ago hit new record highs, and it pushes to new record highs just yesterday. Now first, looking at today's major economic events. So starting out at 2:15 South African time, out of the Eurozone, we have the ECB, European Central Bank, will have an interest rate decision, which is a main refinancing rate number coming out. Then at 2:30 South African time around the United States, a monthly retail number coming out as well. Now looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the euro and the British pound break higher, but let's take a look at that. But looking at the Japanese yen tanking versus US dollar and looking at the indices, we watch the Dow Jones pretty much unchanged and tapering off, and looking at the NASDAQ still on its highs. Now looking at commodities, gold sitting on support at the lower end of it, and looking at oil really unchanged. Looking at stocks, Intel also pushes much higher. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin breaks lower. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go with the Euro USD. As it hit higher and broke that 200-day moving average, which was really important yesterday, it hit it on news event, so it doesn't count. And today it doesn't count as well. But today's event, we see that we stick above that area. And if we look at a daily chart, becomes a lot more interesting because it's breaking that 30-day moving average. Every time it does that, it's a new trend that follows as a subsequent to it, but hasn't really broken it because of the refinancing rate coming out today. That's why I'm saying but. So if we do get some follow through, that's what I want to be looking at today on the upside. Now looking at the GBP USD also on its high side and really flirting with resistance on a multi-time frame. Okay, this is really becomes very important when we're looking at a weekly chart. You could see quite clearly. I'm going to highlight it so you guys can see it a little bit clearer. There's your resistance, there's your resistance, and there's a resistance. So if it does break higher, that means we'll be back in the 130-ish level, okay? Maybe even 135-ish level at a certain point, because there's momentum. And when there's momentum to go up, and there are buyers at this level, especially when there's a breakout, that usually propels us much higher. Now, looking at the Japanese yen, this is where it becomes a little bit interesting. Look at that perk up just this morning. Now looking at a daily, we are breaking higher as the Japanese yen is depreciating versus the dollar. Okay, as it's going up, it gets weaker versus the dollar, as you can see here. So we're at 141. That's a significant level for the Japanese yen as well. Now jumping into commodities, gold really sitting on supportish level, not doing much. I mean, you know, if it does break lower, that I would get more interesting. Okay, it looks like it wants to break lower, but it's still on supportish level. I'd keep an eye on this, especially today if we get that breakout as well. Now looking at crude oil, just really unchanged for all intents and purposes. Jumping to the US markets, the Dow Jones did taper off yesterday. And you see that we tapered off over about 100 and something points. Not a big deal after a nice push higher, but I'd like to see some recovery there as well. Now when we look at the NASDAQ, not flinching. Okay, if we look at the individual stocks, Apple's on its highs, Facebook is back on close to its highs, Microsoft is on its highs. So we've got a lot of things on its highs, and we're looking at Intel, and Intel is sitting. Look at that nice perk up. Look at that weekly chart, and that's a nice perk up for Intel. Okay, and Intel's not such an easy stock to move like that. So that's a major component there. Now looking at NVIDIA. NVIDIA's been the one, and look at that, 429, making new highs yesterday as it pushed higher. This is really very, very essential because this may mean that the push for AI as it expands will expand the market as well. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, it is breaking lower. Look at that nosedive yesterday to 24,987. We haven't been in that area for quite some time, around this area. So this is sitting on support. And if it does break further, especially if it breaks below 24,500-ish level, I would say we'd be back in the low 20-ish. That's my call, as long as we break lower, okay? But we're at that threshold. We're at that threshold for a lot of things right now because of all these major economic factors coming out. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.